If you have already watched this introductory information, you can skip ahead no more than 10 minutes. Hello, welcome. It is predicted that President Trump will die from a heart attack on December 12th, 2024. It is also predicted that Trump's heart attack will be triggered by a directed energy weapon that will target Trump through Bluetooth technology. The components inside the pointy thing that Trump took will facilitate this, and it is believed that when Trump visited Biden at the White House, Trump's Bluetooth MAC address was obtained, which will be used to target Trump with a directed energy weapon. I am predicting that Vice President Kamala Harris will die in a plane crash in St. Louis due to a bird strike into Busch Stadium. In the area code 314, it will be a burning bush, as described in Exodus 3:14. On December 24th, 2024, she will be replaced by Michelle Obama, and then Barack Obama will replace Michelle. I am predicting that dirty bombs will explode in Manhattan, New York City, and there will be a large-scale evacuation on December 16th. And on December 17th, martial law will be declared in the U.S. I am predicting that Israel will bomb Iran on December 17th. Israel will nuke and completely destroy Damascus, Syria on December 26th, 2024. On December 17th, 2024, it is predicted that the state legislatures in the swing states that are controlled by the Democrat Party will have their electors vote for Harris instead of Trump after his death. On this same day, December 17th, it is predicted that Joe Biden will become the first world leader to use an intercontinental ballistic missile in an act of war, and he will launch a ballistic missile into Iran. This will follow the predicted dirty bombs in New York City on December 16th. And the rocket into Iran will be a wag the dog event designed to distract from the electors in the swing states voting to make Kamala Harris the president-elect. It is predicted that on December 25th, Joe Biden will suffer a stroke. After Kamala Harris's predicted plane crash on December 24th and Joe Biden's predicted stroke on December 25th, it is predicted that on December 26th, Joe Biden will appoint Michelle Obama as the vice president, and then Biden will step down. Michelle Obama will appoint Barack Obama as the 51st vice president. On January 12th, 2025, Michelle Obama will step down, and Barack Obama will become the 48th president. His public inauguration ceremony will be on January 20th, 2025. I am predicting that former President Jimmy Carter will die on January 28th. It is predicted that on April 20th, 2025, there will be an outbreak of monkeypox or Marburg disease or both. April 20th will be a symbolic beginning to a new pandemic. Alternatively, it could also be that the symbolic beginning to the new pandemic will be on April 1st, 2025, and that on April 20th, 2025, martial law will be declared because of the new outbreak. June 8th, 2025, the true Feast of Pentecost in the calendar that watches for new moons, will be the day of the resurrection rapture event. It is predicted that on June 9th, the day after the rapture, the key will open the bottomless pit and fallen angels will cross over into the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the fifth trumpet judgment that is described in Revelation chapter 9, when the demonic realm collides with the earthly realm. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to demons pretending to be aliens, and it is possible that June 9th will be the day Pope Francis will announce that aliens have arrived and have made him the ambassador for the world. This will immediately give Pope Francis, the Antichrist, supreme power over governments of the world. At some point, there will be a massive Mary apparition that will deceive the masses, because all Mary apparitions in history have been demons pretending to be Mary. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to a zombie pandemic and the masses becoming demonically possessed that will be facilitated through the thing, which is the mark of the Antichrist, and 5G frequencies. June 9th will be a symbolic beginning to the coming genocide politicide in America. I am predicting that singer-songwriter Paul Simon will die on August 1st, 2025. It is predicted that on August 6th, 2025, the historic barge that has been stuck on the rocks of the Niagara River for over 100 years will finally break free and crash over Niagara Falls. The reason for this is that Niagara Falls is Noah's flood symbolism, and the barge was involved in the most dramatic rescue in the history of Niagara Falls, symbolic of Noah's Ark. Niagara in the native language means straight, narrow way, and Niagara's Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the CN Tower in downtown Toronto, because Toronto and its tower are symbolic of the Tower of Babel. In a game of horseshoes, the object is to aim the horseshoe and throw it at the metal stick, which is why the Horseshoe Falls is perfectly aimed at the metal stick that is the CN Tower. God is communicating that as testament for those who will live in the 1,000 years of Christ's reign on earth, the geography of North America will, as a result of a massive earthquake, be divided by a body of water from the Great Lakes to the Mississippi Delta. This destruction will be judgment on America and Canada for attempting to divide God's land, Israel. When this happens, the water in the Great Lakes will spill out over southern Ontario and Toronto. I am predicting that a solar flare will erupt on the surface of the sun and send a coronal mass ejection that will hit Earth on August 13th, 2025, which will knock out America's power grid and will lead to food shortages. The hit of the coronal mass ejection, predicted for August 13th, that will knock out the power grid will also knock many planes out of the sky. I am predicting that on August 23rd, 2025, there will be a catastrophic asteroid hit of Earth, which will trigger the eruption of Yellowstone volcano and will cause the volcano in the Canary Islands to collapse into the Atlantic Ocean and send a mega tsunami towards the east coast. The asteroid will also trigger a mega landslide on Hawaii Island that will trigger a mega tsunami that will hit the west coast. It will also trigger the collapse of the Hoover Dam, which will cause a water panic in California, and many other devastating earthquakes. The day of the Lord, the second coming of Lord Jesus Christ, Judgment Day, will be at the end of 2026. The date that this video is posted proves that these predictions are being made ahead of time, as do these time-stamped emails and forensic notes PDF documents. If you are skeptical for some reason, please email me and I will forward these to you. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon, Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Make a note right now of these alternative platforms that you can find me on, in case you can't find me later. All right, welcome. I am predicting in this video, I'm giving information in this video, signs, prophetic signs from God that he is using to reveal that there will be, I believe, 2 dirty bombs that will explode in Manhattan, and there will be a large-scale evacuation on December 16th, 2024. This connection with Miss Cheadle, it's just simply the name of the head of the Secret Service. Miss Cheadle is a name God is using to hint at Don Cheadle. Okay? Don Cheadle was the explosives expert in the movie Ocean's 12. Miss Cheadle is the head of the Secret Service. She is the focus of the assassination attempt story, right? She is the focus of this story, which is, of course, huge. George Clooney and Don Cheadle star in Ocean's 12. George Clooney's prophetic piece in the New York Times on July 10th, 2024 is 12 days before July 22nd, which is the day that Miss Cheadle will be in Congress to testify. This must be the purpose of the 12 days from the Ocean 12's actor's piece regarding how Joe Biden should step down, which was also a major story. He was the first Hollywood Democrat, the prominent Hollywood Democrat, leading the way for others to come out and say the same thing. Okay, and anyway, I made a video about how this piece by George Clooney, who starred in Ocean's 12, is revealing 12 days to get July 22nd. And now we know what will happen on the 22nd. It will be the day that Miss Cheadle will testify, which is why Don Cheadle starred with George Clooney in Ocean's 12. All right, this video was originally produced. As you can see here now, I'm interjecting into this video. It is December 6th today. And as you can see, this email was composed on July 18th. It was before July 21st and 22nd. What I just said was also recorded before July 21st and 22nd. I just want to emphasize here this story regarding George Clooney. George Clooney, now with months past, when we think about, when the media talks about how, what was the catalyst for Joe Biden to step down? What got the ball rolling for the Democrat Party to call for him to step down was George Clooney's piece in the New York Times. This was the seminal moment. This was the thing that started it. That's what is known in pop culture, is that this piece by George Clooney is known for having brought down Joe Biden and led to Kamala Harris becoming the nominee. Okay, so this is very important, George Clooney here. Now, George Clooney starred in Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12. The Ocean's 12 movie is, of course, the sequel to Ocean's 11. What is astounding beyond words and wasn't known at the time of the original recording of this video or the other video I just mentioned is that 11 days later after the Ocean's 11 sign, on July 10th, George Clooney's piece, was the day that Joe Biden stepped down. Okay, so George Clooney wrote a piece about how Joe Biden should step down, getting the ball rolling for him to step down. And he starred in Ocean's 11. And he is Ocean in the movie. And 11 days after George Clooney, the star from Ocean's 11, calling for Joe Biden to step down, Joe Biden stepped down. That's amazing beyond words. And I was calling it out beforehand. Really. Although I was focused on the 12 aspect to the day that Miss Cheadle would testify, I also really called it out because I pointed to George Clooney being a prophetic sign and it being about Ocean's 11 and, well, Ocean's 12 is what I was talking about, but it turns out that it makes sense too that the original, the Ocean's 11 movie before the sequel, Ocean's 12, would also be prophetic. And so we had the 11 and 12 days from George Clooney's sign here, his piece in the New York Times. 11 and 12 days later are the relevant prophetic signs. All right. In Ocean's 12, Don Cheadle stars as the explosives director or expert. Don Cheadle hints at Don Trump and Miss Cheadle. So the Miss Cheadle story is about the assassination on Don Trump, or the other way around, right? The two persons are connected here in this story regarding the assassination attempt, because Miss Cheadle is the director of the Secret Service. So Don Cheadle hints at both of this. Don Trump, and Cheadle, Miss Cheadle. An explosives expert is similar to a sniper in that both plan and execute their attacks in secret. Also, 12 days after the Ocean's 12 actors' piece on July 10th was not only the day that Miss Cheadle testified in Congress, but it was the day that the media called Kamala Harris's day. This was the day after Joe Biden stepped down, and immediately Kamala Harris received the minimum number of votes for party votes for her to become the nominee. And she raised a record $81 million in 24 hours. And God uses records for signs. So this was the record amount of political funds, fundraising, campaign fundraising in 24 hours. And it was 81. That's a prophetic number too. And it was 12 days after George Clooney called for Joe Biden to step down. And George Clooney starred in Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12. So George Clooney's piece got Kamala Harris to be the nominee. And it was 11 and 12 days after his piece that these two things happened. Joe Biden stepped down on the 11 days after, and then Kamala Harris became the nominee 12 days after. And this man starred in Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12. Now, regarding the 81 million, that's a 9/11 number because 9 divided by 11 equals 0.8181 into infinity. Also, 81 is 3 sets of 9. So God repeats a number 3 times for emphasis of its symbolic meaning, and the number 9 from the Bible symbolizes God's judgment. And so it's 3 sets of 9. It's also 9 times 9. And so anyway, there was also a prophetic plane crash sign on July 22nd. I made other videos that were explaining how God was pointing to July 22nd in terms of Kamala Harris's predicted plane crash, and sure enough, we did get the plane sign that we expected. I won't explain it, but it was the inauguration first flight of Israel's Air Force One. Their plane, their new plane for their prime minister, that the media in Israel calls Israel's Air Force One. Kamala Harris is predicted to die in her Air Force Two. Netanyahu flew in Air Force One to the U.S. in order to speak with Kamala Harris on July 22nd. All right, so that was the prophetic plane sign. There's more to that, but that's just another story. But let's continue here. All right, now, Trump, in God's signs, is a type for Joshua. Joshua in the Bible led the Israelites around the walls of Jericho before they collapsed in God's judgment, after the Israelites enacted a symbolic 3 sets of 7. They marched around once per day for 7 days, and then on the 7th day they marched around 7 times while blowing 7 trumpets. And then the walls of security collapsed in God's judgment. Trump on his inauguration day was 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days old. And this was 77 days before he launched 59 missiles into the Middle East, where Israel is. 59 is the 7th super prime number. Trump's inauguration at 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days old in a year ending in the number 7 was 73 days, which hints at 3 sets of 7, after Trump won the election by 77 electoral votes. And that day was in turn exactly on that day, Benjamin Netanyahu, the leader of Israel, in other words, symbolic of the leader of the Israelites, Joshua, on Trump's election day, when he won by 77 electoral votes, Netanyahu had been in office for exactly 7 years, 7 months, and 7 days. And that day was exactly 73 weeks, as in 3 sets of 7, after the symbolic beginning of Trump, when he famously descended the golden escalator in his Trump Tower. Towers are prophetic in the Bible. That day was in turn exactly 188 months after the 7.0 magnitude earthquake in Joshua Tree, California. 188 because this is a number God frequently uses in his signs to point to H188 in Strong's Hebrew Concordance, which is the word for woe, ! And is used in the Bible in the context of extreme judgment from God. Okay, so Trump is a 3 sets of 7. That's why this Miss Cheetle testimony day, this July 22nd date, that was 12 days after the actor that starred in Ocean's 12 published his piece in the New York Times, which is incidentally where Trump is from, New York. July 22nd, from July 22nd, it is exactly 7 plus 7 plus 7 weeks before the date it is predicted that the walls of security will collapse, if you will, and the dirty bombs will explode in Manhattan, New York City. And again, this is relevant because of Don Cheadle, which God pointed to through Miss Cheetle, the head of the Secret Service, responsible for protecting Trump, God's trumpet that he uses to trumpet and highlight his prophetic signs. Now, there's even more to this and more to Don Cheadle, but I'm just going to play a clip first, and I'll be right back just to explain a little bit more regarding this prophetic significance of Trump and 3 sets of 7. I'll be right back. President Trump is God's trumpet that he uses to highlight and confirm his signs. The word trump in archaic English means trumpet or the sounding of a trumpet. Donald Trump was born on a Sabbath day, and the portion of Torah that was read in synagogues on the day that Trump was born was the passage from the book of Numbers, in which God commanded the making of trumpets. Trump was born exactly 23 months, which happens to be exactly 700 days before Israel was reborn. And God used Trump in prophetic signs regarding the restoration of Israel. Donald Trump chose his running mate, Mike Pence, and their two names, Trump-Pence, hints at trumpets. Trump's presidency, including his election campaign, was synonymous with his border wall of security. Before the walls of security collapsed in God's judgment on ancient Jericho, the Hebrews blew trumpets. Before the walls of security collapsed in God's judgment on the ancient city of Jericho, the Hebrews marched around Jericho's walls of security 7 times over 7 days, while 7 priests blew 7 trumpets. This was a 3 sets of 7. In the book of Revelation, which describes God's judgment in the end times period, there are also 3 sets of 7 judgments. When the Hebrews blew the trumpets at Jericho, it was an announcement from God of judgment on the city of Jericho. Likewise, President Trump's presidency was an announcement of judgment on the nation of America, God's Gentile nation and the only other nation in history besides Israel that was founded on a relationship with God. This is why President Trump's election campaign and presidency were synonymous with his border wall of security, and why on the first day of his presidency, on Inauguration Day, President Trump was exactly 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days old, which was 3 sets of 7 and paralleled the 3 sets of 7 in the book of Joshua. Through the symbolic very beginning of Trump's presidency, God announced judgment on the nation. Joshua, the leader of the Hebrews, led them around the walls of security 7 times over 7 days, while 7 priests blew 7 trumpets. On the day that President Trump was elected by 77 electoral votes, the leader of Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, had been in power for exactly 7 years, 7 months, and 7 days. Don Cheadle starred in White Noise, a movie about a bomb train and evacuation due to toxic material in Ohio. This movie is 136 minutes, and 136 is the 4 times 4th triangular number. And this hints at the 44th president, Obama, who was a member of the May 19th Communist Organization, which bombed the Capitol building in 1983. Barack Obama was a member of this organization at that time. The prediction being made in this video will prove this. This is the purpose of this prediction from God. It is to prove these controversial things that I am saying. Make no mistake, I know far better than you the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction. The name Barak is equal to 216 in English gematria. 216 is 6 times 6 times 6. Barack Obama was born on the 216th day of the calendar year, August 4th. The date 84 hints at 84, and the name Obama equals 84 in Hebrew gematria, and so does the word bomb. Bomb equals 84 in Hebrew gematria. The day of the Capitol bombing, the Capitol building bombing by the May 19th Communist Organization, which Barack Obama was a member of, on November 7th, 1983, was 15 days, which is 21,600 minutes after the Beirut barrack bombings. All right? 21,600 minutes hints at 216, which is the equivalent of the name Barak in English gematria. This 21,600 minutes connects the Beirut Barak or Barak bombings. That's the title for this incident in 1983 that killed, I forget how many people, but it was a lot. It was a lot of U.S. service personnel in Beirut. So the Beirut Barak, as in Barak, they're spelled almost exactly the same, except there's two R's. The Beirut Barak bombings connects with a number that means Barak to the May 19th Communist Organization bombing of the Capitol building. Believe me, this is not only the only reason I know that Barack Obama was a member of the May 19th Communist Organization. Not by any stretch, but this is confirmation of this. That's what God has done here. God is communicating this. This evil, wicked man that is a communist. All right, and once a communist, always a communist. What is a communist? That's another question. What is a communist? That's a really good question. I'm not going to answer that right now. It's not someone who simply believes in an alternative economic model. That's nonsense. It's someone who is spiritually at war with God. That's what a communist is. All right? That's the bottom line. Now, there's more to that connection too, because, well, the Barak bombings, the Capitol building bombings was in turn exactly 4 times 4 months before the release of the song, the greatest selling single, God Uses Records of all time, greatest selling single of all time, We Are the World, which is Antichrist symbolism. We are the world, the lyrics in it. We're making a decision. We're making a choice. All this. Okay, I'm not going to get. That's another subject, which is another video. This is the thing about explaining God's signs. It's extremely difficult because it's interconnected and it's not two-dimensional. And so to explain one thing, you got to explain that, and then to explain that, you got to explain that, and it just goes on to infinity. But anyway, the song was written by Michael Jackson. God is using this for certain reasons too. Michael Jackson died from taking a thing, and it was a homicide, and also ruled a homicide in court. And anyway, his initials, MJ, God is using this, MJ, not only Michael Jackson, but Michael Jordan and Michael J. Fox, okay? Anyway, MJ and Mike Johnson, the leader of this, these are all men that God is using in his signs for this purpose. MJ equals 23. We Are the World was written by Michael Jackson. And God pairs 23 and 44 together to confirm his signs and connections. And this is how God's true big picture of signs, patterns, and connections works. It works on the principle of second and third and multiple witnesses confirming a matter, as the Bible says is required, and this is what makes what is being explained on this channel true and not a product of one's imagination and different and unique than everything else on the internet that claims to be an analysis of God's prophetic signs. And if we think about it, one simple way in which God would provide a second witness for us is through pairing certain numbers together, such as 23 and 44. And I know this because I've been studying his big picture of signs from morning until night for more than full-time hours for 7 years. The reason is that Obama, the basketball president, wore 23 and was the 44th president. He wore 23 in high school, okay? And that's just the scratching the surface of the reason why 23 identifies Obama. But anyway, we had 23, which identifies Obama, connecting with 4 times 4 months exactly to the May 19th Capitol building bombing. And what, of course, does that symbolize? Of course, it symbolizes the Antichrist in the Capitol, Washington. Barack Obama, the communist. Okay, now I've just given you a second witness to the connection to the Beirut Barak, as in Barak bombings. All right? Now, back to what I was saying here. Obama, right? That's why the movie White Noise, starring Don Cheadle, is the 4 times 4th triangular number of minutes in length. Now, as I just explained, or I haven't explained it yet. Okay, at the risk of repeating myself later, I'll just say this quickly, hopefully. The movie White Noise was about a bomb train. It actually is a timepiece movie. It takes place in the early 80s for the reason, and this is the reason, is because it's inspired by the bomb train incident in Mississauga, Canada, in 1979. That's another story, another sign, and by the way, that is explained in the East Palestine video, and that is one of the most amazing videos on this channel. Make sure you search it out. It's one of the 70 videos that led to February 2nd. Okay, as I explained in another video. Okay, so anyway, the wise person will recognize that when the prediction comes to pass, they need to watch every minute of every video on this channel. And anyway, the East Palestine bomb train explosion in February of 2023 was a prophetic sign. The thing about the movie White Noise is that it was released just a few months earlier in November of 2022, and it is about a bomb train and an evacuation of the town due to the toxic material that is leaking from the train, which is what happened in Mississauga, the biggest emergency evacuation in North American history until Hurricane Katrina. And anyway, the movie White Noise, this fictitious bomb train explosion and evacuation of the town that Don Cheadle stars in. And by the way, Don Cheadle starred in the other movie about him being the bomb expert, right? So the bomb train movie starring Don Cheadle takes place in Ohio, which hints at Ontario, because Mississauga is in Ontario. So the fictitious one takes place in Ohio. It's a play that God is using there. And so the fictitious bomb train explosion and evacuation in Ohio the movie in the filming used extras from East Palestine, Ohio, which is where the actual real life bomb train incident happened right after the release of the movie White Noise. Because of this coincidence, naturally the conspiracy theorist community believes that there were nefarious actors behind both of these things, the movie and the actual event, because not only did they both take place in Ohio, and the movie uses extras from East Palestine. The only other explanation, which is the true one, is that God designed this coincidence. That's the thing that the conspiracy theorist community doesn't get much of the time, because a lot of the people in that community are Christians, but they don't get it. God is orchestrating these things, not the Illuminati. And so anyway, that's the amazing thing with the connection between this movie, which Don Cheadle starred in, and East Palestine. Now the thing is I just explained, Don Cheadle hints at Don Trump and Miss Cheadle, right? So in other words, it hints at Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump visited East Palestine after the bomb train explosion, and Trump is God's trumpet that he uses to trumpet and highlight his prophetic signs. And God used Trump to trumpet the East Palestine prophetic sign on the date February 22nd. And that's relevant too, because Trump is being used and I think is a type for Washington, George Washington. Lots to say about the significance of George Washington. But George Washington was born on the date 2/22, which was the date that Don Trump was in East Palestine. Now, God, through the 9/11 events, pointed to George Washington, because after his first inauguration in Federal Hall on Wall Street in Lower Manhattan, he walked down Wall Street, as in Joshua, and the walls of security collapsing, as in trumpet. The Israelites blew trumpets before the walls collapsed, right? Washington walked down, and Trump's tower became the tallest in Lower Manhattan as he trumpeted on 9/11 when he called into Channel 9 News, 40 Wall Street. Anyway, Washington walked down Wall Street after his inauguration and went into Trinity Chapel and consecrated the nation to God, saying that if the nation were to ever turn away from God, it would lose its divine protection and blessings, which he had the opportunity to witness firsthand during the Revolutionary War. He fully saw, and others, of course, recognize the hand of God in that war too. He fully saw God's hand and in being responsible for them winning that war. But anyway, that's why the chapel that Washington went into was the only building at Ground Zero that survived the falling debris due to the uprooted sycamore tree, which is now commemorated with a 20-foot-high bronze statue of the roots of the tree outside of the chapel. The chapel is today called the Miracle Chapel because of this. It didn't even have a broken window because of the tree, and the tree is significant. I'm just going to cut it off there, though. And anyway, the point is that 9/11 was 222 months exactly before March 11th, 2020, and Trump's speech regarding the CVD disease, which was 11 minutes long and ended precisely at 9:11 p.m. on the clock on the live TV news screen. And that's because it pointed back 222 months earlier to George Washington, who was born on the date 222. 11 minutes because it was Flight 11 with a crew of 11 people that flew into the Twin Towers that looked like a giant 11 in New York State, the 11th state to join the Union. Jesus coined the phrase the 11th hour, which referred in ancient Israel to the last hour of daylight before darkness, and in English is an idiom that means last chance, time is running out, as in last chance for America to repent and turn back to God, which is now why 222 months later we had the trumpet and the CVD disease. That was also the day that the World Health Organization declared that the CVDs had become a pandemic. And anyway, Trump was in East Palestine trumpeting this disaster, this bomb train and evacuation, which is hinting at the coming dirty bombs in Manhattan, where Trump is from, and the subsequent evacuation from the toxic material, just like in East Palestine. Now, those 2 days are connected with exactly, and I just did a connection with 7 + 7 + 7 weeks to this, and it involved Trump, right? Because of Don Cheadle and Miss Cheadle. Well, this connection with Don Trump, which connects to Don Cheadle too, as I just explained through the movie White Noise, this connection from 222 in 2023 connects with exactly 7 × 7 + 7 × 7 + 7 × 7 weeks. The other one was 7 + 7 + 7 weeks, if you recall, from July 22nd, 2024. This connection is, and again, God repeats a number 3 times for emphasis of its symbolic meaning. And this one is 7 × 7 + 7 × 7 + 7 × 7 weeks. In other words, it's 49 + 49 + 49 weeks, but 49 is 7 × 7. And again, the Israelites, they marched around the walls of security 7 times while blowing 7 trumpets. I should say 7 trumpets before the walls of security collapsed, as in the walls of security collapsing when the dirty bombs explode in Manhattan, if you will. And so that's why Trump trumpeted East Palestine 7 × 7 + 7 × 7 + 7 × 7 weeks exactly before the walls of security will collapse in Manhattan. Also, on the date 222 in 2023, on the day that President Trump was in East Palestine due to the bomb train explosion and subsequent evacuation of East Palestine, was also the day of the uranium fire. Okay, on this day, there was a uranium fire at a uranium processing facility at the Y-12 National Security Complex, resulting in the evacuation of hundreds of workers. This is the exact sign we are looking for, in conjunction with the bomb train sign on February 22nd when Trump visited East Palestine. Trump made that date a sign for East Palestine, and on this same day was this uranium fire. Well, what is used in nuclear and dirty bombs? Uranium. Furthermore, this uranium fire was at the National Security Complex. This is a national warning of judgment from God. The specific building that the fire occurred in was the 9212 building. That's astounding beyond words as well, because in God's signs, the number 9 symbolizes God's judgment. That's why, for example, Trump called into Channel 9 News in New York City on 9/11. And Manhattan, and the area code for Manhattan is 212. So that's why this fire occurred at the 9212 building. Which resulted in radioactive material being released and hundreds of workers needing to evacuate. When the dirty bombs made of uranium explode in the area code 212, there will be an evacuation of many people due to the radioactive material. This uranium fire occurred at the National Security Complex in the 4th times 4th state, which again hints at the 44th president, Obama. And the 4 times 4th triangular number is because God's big picture of signs is all about pointing to the Antichrist, the 44th president, who, as a result of the dirty bombs, will become the president again in a moment of crisis and be given unchecked power. This will be part of that process of him becoming the president again, the predicted bombs in New York. Don Cheadle, was nominated twice for an Emmy for his role in Black Monday. Ms. Cheadle will testify in Congress on Monday. So, by the way, the bomb train exploded. That's why they call them bomb trains. These are these freight trains carrying very dangerous explosive materials rolling through residential neighborhoods. They call them bomb trains, cynically. And the bomb train that exploded in Ohio, by the way, in East Palestine, was a prophetic sign pointing to this very thing, the coming predicted explosions in Manhattan and the evacuation of Manhattan from a dirty bomb, which is why the dirty toxic material from a bomb train. All right, so that's explained in other videos. There are 70 videos regarding this information that God has been telling, these stories that God has been telling for years now regarding the coming predicted explosions in Manhattan and the evacuation, okay? But coincidentally, this movie White Noise is also about a bomb train, a fictional one that takes place in Ohio. And coincidentally, some of the extras in the movie White Noise are from East Palestine. Okay, so Cheadle was nominated twice for an Emmy for his role in Black Monday. Miss Cheadle will testify in Congress on Monday. It will be a Black Monday for her, if you will. Cheadle was nominated for an Academy Award for his role in Hotel Rwanda, which grossed $23 million in domestic ticket sales and a total of $34 million. And these are both numbers that God uses to hint at Barack Obama. Barack Obama was the basketball president who wore jersey number 23 in high school. And the 44th president grew up for 4 years in Indonesia, which is made up of 34 provinces. And there's more, but that's enough for now. The movie was released in the US on December 22nd, 2004, exactly 17 years and 9 months, which hints at Obama, who was president from 2009 until 2017, before Ms. Cheadle will testify in Congress on July 22nd, 2024. Okay, so we have another connection between Don Cheadle and Miss Cheadle with exactly 17 years and 9 months. And this is profound because this is how God's signs works and connections works, which, by the way, is only being explained on this channel. his true big picture of patterns, signs, and connections. And this is a frequent thing that he does, is he pairs 9 and 17 together to hint at the president who was president from 09 until 17. So again, the movie that Cheadle was nominated for an Academy Award, Hotel Rwanda, was released exactly 17 years and 9 months before Ms. Cheadle will testify in Congress on July 22nd. Obama will lead the coming genocide in America, and this is the purpose of this connection here. This is one of many signs that God is using to illustrate the coming politicide genocide led by Obama and the left on true conservatives and Christians, as described in Bible prophecy. This is what is described in Bible prophecy. All right, this isn't a conspiracy theory that I've concocted out of my own mind, and God is confirming this. Furthermore, the prediction being made in this video will serve to prove this. That is the purpose for why God has given this prediction, to prove what I am saying. Make no mistake. I know far better than you the reason and purpose for this prediction that is from God. Don Cheadle starred in the movie Brooklyn's Finest, which was filmed in the 3 New York City boroughs of Manhattan, Queens, and Brooklyn. It also stars Richard Gere, who won the award, I think, for Chicago, or the movie won the Academy Award. Chicago is symbolism for Barack Obama, which is why Richard Gere in his signs points to Barack Obama. It also stars Richard Gere and Wesley Snipes, which hints at Sniper and Miss Cheadle. This movie that Don Cheadle starred in, Brooklyn's Finest, was released on March 5th, 2010, exactly 5,400 days before December 16th, 2022, or 24, sorry, the date it is predicted that the dirty bombs will explode in New York City, in Manhattan. All right, so first of all, God repeats a number 3 times for emphasis of its symbolic meaning. That's why in the Bible, the number 666 is symbolic of the Antichrist, because of the meaning of the number 6. Man was created on the 6th day. That's why the Antichrist's number is 666. He is the fallen man who is leading man towards a man-made utopia without God, etc. But also God has been using in specifically the signs related to the coming dirty bomb, the 54th Massachusetts Regiment. Oh, the reason why 54 is 666 symbolism is because, as I said, God repeats a number 3 times for emphasis of its symbolic meaning, and 54 is 3 sets of 18. It is 18 plus 18 plus 18, and 18 is 6 plus 6 plus 6. So it is, in other words, 3 sets of 6 plus 6 plus 6, which hints at 666. In other words, it's 3 sets of 666. That's, okay, so that's the reason for exactly 5,400 days, but also, like I was saying, God has been using the 54th Massachusetts Regiment in God's signs and big picture patterns and connections. But the 54th Massachusetts Regiment is also specifically being used in the trail of signs leading to the predicted dirty bomb. I have my theories as to why God is doing this. All of this is leading to this crisis, and martial law is leading to programmable digital currency after the financial market collapse, which I expect to coincide with the bombing in New York. And it is programmable digital currency that will be used to enforce the mark of the Antichrist. Those who don't take the mark will not be able to, as Bible prophecy says, buy and sell the rationed food. Now, the reason why the 54th Massachusetts Regiment is relevant regarding this is, well, one, it was the first black regiment in the Civil War, and the Civil War was about freedom and abolishing slavery. And that is the theme of the Bible and the theme of life. And it is the theme of the war we are currently in. One half of many people on one side are confused and are brainwashed with the propaganda, thinking that they are on the side of good and supposed freedom. But it is a lie, and they should know better. There's no excuse. They need to repent immediately. But that is the theme of what is going on here, and that's what will happen regarding the mark of the Antichrist. Submit as a slave or don't eat. Okay? That's classic tactic of communism, by the way, to take away private property, in this case food, but to take away private property in order to have the individual submit as a slave to the state. Okay, that's how communism works, in fact. That's what's going to happen again, and that's what's also described in Bible prophecy. The reason why the 54th Massachusetts Regiment is relevant is also not only that it is Civil War or slavery versus freedom symbolism, not only also is it the first black regiment, and God uses firsts for signs, including to point to the first black president, or should I say the first affirmative action black president. But the story of the 54th Massachusetts Regiment involves the unfair pay that they were paid as official policy from Washington, D.C., compared to the other white northern soldiers. They weren't paid the equivalent amount, the $13 a month. And the number 13 symbolizes the mark of the Antichrist, described in Revelation chapter 13. And so it's currency, and that's why God has used the 54th Massachusetts Regiment in this theme of pay and money and currency to hint at the oppressive minority law that's coming regarding those who refuse to take the mark of the Antichrist. And anyway, the reason why I theorize that it's connected to the coming bomb, like I'm saying, is because of the coming collapse of the market and also the crisis that's coming that will be used to justify the Antichrist usurping power and being given unchecked power, dictatorial, arbitrary power. Okay, that's, anyway. So, and that's, what not paying the black soldiers was. It was arbitrary use of power, which is anti-constitutional. Anti-constitution, anti the Bible. Which is no problem for the left because they are anti-constitution and anti the Bible. Brooklyn's Finest made $36 million, 36 hints at 3 6s, and also 6 times 6, and also 2 times 18, which is 6 plus 6 plus 6, and the 36th triangular number, which in a triangle of numbers of 36 rows, the last number is 666, and 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 all the way up to 36 equals 666. The number of the Antichrist in Bible prophecy, the 44th president. The fact that the movie made $36 million, which is symbolic of 666, further confirms the connection of 666 from the release of the movie, which takes place in New York City, to the predicted date of the dirty bombs in New York City. Again, it is exactly 18 plus 18 plus 1800 days, and that again is 600 plus 600 plus 600 days. 3 sets of those. 3 sets of 600 days. Believe me, I know far better than you how the prediction made in this video was derived. And more importantly, I know far better than you why the righteous Christian God of the Bible has given me a voice through this prediction. If you are a quote-unquote Christian or Muslim, this prediction was not learned through a demon. Be warned that blaspheming the Holy Spirit is the unforgivable sin. If you are a New Ager or New Spirituality person, this prediction was not learned through somehow tapping into the supposed universal collective consciousness. If you are a conspiracy theorist, this prediction was not learned through figuring out a supposed code that the Illuminati and Satanists are using. This prediction was learned through the Bible and through watching carefully the Lord's prophetic signs, which Jesus commanded all Christians to do. Besides proving that Jesus Christ is the Lord, the reason why God has given me a voice through this prediction is to prove that the controversial things that I am saying in the videos on this channel are the truth. Therefore, a wise person will want to watch all of the videos on this channel. What I will also do is create a video or two that summarizes some of the controversial things that the Lord will prove to be true when the prediction being made in this video comes to pass. I will leave links to these must-watch videos in the description box below this video. Again, the purpose of this prediction, that is from God, is to prove these things that I will talk about. And therefore, it would be foolish to not watch the videos that I will leave links for in the description box below this video. Aliens and UFOs are demons masquerading as aliens and UFOs. Most people's spiritual experiences are demonic deception, especially if they are not a true follower of Christ. In the last days, many people who claim to be a follower of Christ will have spiritual experiences that are in reality demonic. God became a man and died a horrible death at the hand of the ruler of this world, Satan, and then defeated death for you, so that you too can overcome death, which is the price that must be paid for sin. It is time to repent, which means to change one's ways and turn to God and become a disciple of Jesus. Please leave a like and upvote the video, and once this prediction has come to pass, share this video with everyone you know, and more, don't stop sharing it everywhere in social media. It is essential that everyone immediately read the homepage of my website, TrumpPrediction.com. If you are watching this on the YouTube platform, please note that not all of the videos are on YouTube. You need to switch to the Odyssey.com or Rumble.com channel, and do it now in case you aren't able to later.